I went $100,000 to start this Airbnb business, and I got 20 in my first year. And I made, honestly, I didn't really even make anything. I lost a lot of money, and that's what we're talking about in this video. So if you want to see the reality of how much money I've made starting my Airbnb business, and also some of the risks and things that I've had to take along the way, this is the video for you. I think the answer is actually going to surprise you. So I've got my laptop here. We're going to be looking at the numbers in real time, and I'm going to show you guys, am I still in debt? Did I pay all the $100,000 off? What's happening? How much money did I make? How much money did I lose? You get the gist. If you're new here, I'm Faith. You probably are new. I've only got 200 subscribers, I think, something like that, as of posting this. And thank you all to the 200-day ones. But I post my journey here online showing what it took for me to become rich and ripped AF. I'm already on the ripped part. The rich part I'm still working on, as you can see, or you're about to see, I should say. And I'm documenting my journey because I think it's so important to actually have transparency online, because so many people are like, oh my God, you can make like $2,000 a month per property and it's all passive. That's a lie that you're being sold. Nothing is really ever passive unless you hire people, and then you're not going to make as much profit because you hired people, right? So we're going to debunk some myths in this conversation here today. And if you want to see more of my journey on how I become rich, and also just want to see like me doing interior design projects or whatever you want to see, or you have questions and want them, someone who's in the game to answer them, like and subscribe, help a sister out, because I'm out here making myself look dumb, guys. Okay, I'm about to look mad dumb right now when you see the numbers behind this. The fact that I'm even posting this is crazy. Nobody posts this stuff because they either don't want to show, oh my God, I made all this money, or two, they don't want to look stupid. I'm gonna be like the I'm gonna look stupid camp. So let's get into it. The first thing to know when we're talking about the numbers I'm about to show you is revenue does not equal profit. We just have to say this out the gate because there's so many people online that'll post screenshots. I'll put like an example one here of like my own Airbnb thing. They're like, oh my God, I made $30,000 this month on Airbnb. That's not actually what you take home, right? Because you have to, in the case with arbitrage, but the same is true if you bought a house, you have to pay your mortgage, right? After you take away the mortgage or rent, the service fee, the cleaning fees, the cost of toilet paper, all these different things, that's not what you're walking away with. You're lucky, in my opinion, if you get at least 20%. You're gonna see how much percentage I get here in a bit. But let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room, that if you're thinking that when you see these screenshots that you're gonna get that amount, you're not actually getting that. Revenue does not equal profit. Quick business 101, revenue minus expenses equals profit. There's actually a way more detailed breakdown of that. There's gross profit, net revenue, all these other terms. But just know, we're actually going to talk about real profit today. I'm going to show you revenue too. I'm going to show you how much money I made from bookings, but I'm actually going to show you how much money I walked away with in hand. Because very few people actually talk about that online because it's not that sexy, right? Like, it's not sexy to say, oh, I made $40,000 and I walked away with like $2,000, right? But that's sometimes the reality of being in business, is that you're going to have expenses. Actually, that's not sometimes. You're always going to have expenses no matter what the business is. And so I'm actually going to show you guys the profit of what I've made this year. Okay, the first thing we got to talk about, kind of like a chronological order of events. I got my first property in like August, September of 2024. And so technically this is going to be a little bit of, I'm going to give you guys the numbers for the whole like just 2025 year, but I technically did start in the later half of 2024. I really launched my properties, I would say, though, like in the last like 2 months of the year. Anyway, we're going to get to all that. I got my first property. I'll put it here. This one actually got hit by a hurricane, okay? And so this one's going to be kind of an outlier in terms of the numbers, but I did launch this back in October. And I'm gonna go ahead and start pulling up my screen here actually, so you guys can see hard numbers on how much each house made. Okay guys, so I am gonna take you on my profit and loss for 2025. I actually had a different spreadsheet that I used to use to track this, and I have a new one now. I'm gonna kind of be going back and forth between both, so you guys can kind of just wrap your head around all the money that I did make this year. Okay, so let's get into it. We first started off the year with a house in Georgia. I'll put a little clip here. This house in Georgia I started in I think September of 2024, and this house ended up getting hit by a hurricane. Again, if you haven't watched the video, it's crazy, right? And I ended up getting an insurance booking that basically paid $5,000 a month for the entirety of my lease. And so what you're seeing here, let me move myself out of the way so you guys can see. There we go. As the money I made from that house. So you can see the total profit for that house was $21,160. And this is because one of the consistent profit from the $5,000 a month monthly payment. So I usually averaged around, like it says here, around about $1,500 a month. But here's where things got interesting. So in April, I actually had profit of almost $9,000 because of a thing called Masters. If you guys know golf, then you know about Masters Week. This is the golf tournament in Augusta. And what's a very common practice here, landlords will essentially give free rent to tenants in exchange for them to leave for that week during Masters. So you basically get a paid for vacation because you don't have to pay rent that week. And in return, you get to rent your house out during Masters, which is when you make all your money. It's very common practice, right? And so as a result, made a nice, cute, almost $9,000 profit that month. It would have actually been more profitable, but I had to, because the whole like pool area basically got covered up with dirt, I had to pay for like all this like wood chips and patio furniture and all that. So it actually probably would have been closer to $10,000 profitable if I didn't have to do that. But you can't let the guests go there and it's literally just a pile of dirt, right? So I had to put something there. And so as a result, I had a profit of $21,160, but this is including January. So if we actually were just doing 2025, that is a sum of $21,390. Where these negatives are coming in from right here is I actually no longer have this house because the yard is terrible and the tenants are done with their lease because their house got repaired. And so I basically have it in a storage unit, and that's what the storage unit price is. It's $230 a month. So that's why I'm losing $230 a month on that house right now. So if you've been keeping up, I have spent $20,000 to furnish this house, and I made 21 in profit. So I basically netted out like around $1,000 to for this house, and all my furniture is paid for. Now it's sitting there in storage, ironically losing money. And now I'm going to go put it in a different house. I'm still working on getting that lease secured. Now let's talk about the next two houses. So also, guys, if you want to see like the breakdown, I can actually show you here the hard breakdown of how much money I made, like what the expenses were. So you can see like how much I paid for cleaning. You can see how much I paid for utilities and things of that nature. So this kind of gives you an overall view of like, how do you go from making $14,000 that month and then you only end up with $9,000. This kind of gives you an idea of all those expenses that you run into. So anyway, now let's go back to what happened next. So I had this house, it's doing well. I want to get a couple more houses. So I go to Houston. If you haven't checked out that video, you can see it here. And I got two places there. I got a beautiful 3-bedroom townhome with the sky view or city skyline view. And then I got a different 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. So we're going to talk about the one I still currently have, which is this 3-bedroom townhouse. So these are the numbers. If we're again factoring out January of this year, I have made a whopping $464 profit. So what went wrong, right? This house was projected to make around $75,000 in revenue, and my rent is around $3,000. So I was like, oh, those numbers shake out. That should work well. But if you saw my mistakes video, I did not underwrite cleaning fees because I was still new at the game. So I thought that I was going to be making over $1,000 a month profit consistently, but it's because I forgot to underwrite cleaning fees. You take that away, it's actually going to shake out between $500 and $700 a month, which is kind of like what it's ended up being. And it's also because of a few different incidences that have happened with this house. So the first being, I had a guest break a window, and I'm going to jump back to this one here so you guys can see kind of line by line, like what went wrong here. So during this month, I had a guest break a window, and I couldn't figure out which guest did it, so I couldn't file a claim. I was also new to Airbnb, so I've never really had filed a claim before. Now I'm filing claims left and right. That's a whole separate conversation. Actually, if you guys want to know who I use to manage my claims, I use a company called Claim Pilot. I love them. They're so great. And you can, I'll put like a link in the description below. If you are an Airbnb host and you want someone else to do claims for you, I highly, highly, highly recommend, because it's such a pain. Anyway, so I could not file a claim because I didn't know which guest did it, right? And because of that, I lost $1,000 when in reality, this should have been maybe like a break-even month. And so lost money from that. And I have insurance, by the way. So my deductible was $1,000. So I basically paid $1,000 for my insurance, and then the cost of the window I think was like $2,000, something like that. So anyway, so that was the issue there. And then later on in the summer, so like August, September, I had an issue with my cleaners not cleaning my house properly, and it led to me getting some bad reviews and having to refund guests a little bit here and there. And because of that, I lost money, obviously, as you can see, the two negative $1,000 months. And then two, I actually almost got my listing banned because I had two, I think like 3-star reviews come in, and they were like, you need to fix these issues or we're gonna take your listing off. And they like suspended it for like a week, which is crazy because it was literally, I had like 40 reviews and I think only like 2 of them were bad. But anyway, so I lost quite a bit of money because I had to refund the guest, and then I also got like suspended, so I couldn't get bookings for a little bit there. And so I very quickly fired that cleaner, and I got a new cleaner. And as you can see, things are on the come up since hiring that cleaner. I've had a bunch of good reviews come in, and they're just great people overall. And so that's kind of how the expenses shook out here, and it ended up resulting in, as you saw, a nice whopping $464 in profit. And I spent around, I think $5,000 to $6,000 to furnish this house. So you do the math, I'm basically out $5,000. All right. Now so we also, by the way, kind of started this with like best case scenario with the Georgia house. And this is like the medium scenario with Tier Wester, or my first Houston house. Now let's talk about the third house that I got, which was also in Houston. Put some clips here of that. This house was super cute, but who cares if it's super cute if it's not making money, right? So I'll also go through the numbers here. This house, I installed a hot tub, and it was just gorgeous, super cute. But it wasn't making money for a variety of reasons. Again, same issue as before, where I didn't underwrite the cleaning fee, so I thought I was going to make more money than I actually was making. And then also my utilities were all significantly higher because I added a hot tub. And also just some things that went wrong, which we're about to get into. So in short, though, we made a whopping negative $5,000 so far on this house. And I spent about $16,000 to $17,000 to furnish it. So you do the math, and basically $20,000 in the hole from this house. And right now it's sitting in storage, just like the other Georgia house. It's in storage in Houston, and I'm looking to replace it hopefully in like the next month or so. I don't know if I'm going to keep it in Houston. I haven't decided yet, but let's get into it. What went wrong here? So this house, I didn't keep it that long. As you can see, past August, I stopped keeping it because I realized it wasn't really making me any money. And so what I did was cut the lease off, and I lost my security deposit as part of the process. Because like sometimes you just got to take the L, and I could very quickly see this wasn't making money. Because even in my best month, which is March in Houston, I only made like $500. But here's the great thing. I'll put a clip here of me having a literal meltdown, crying because my heat and my unit stopped working in my peak season. So I had to refund. Like I either gave the guest a full refund, or I gave him 50% off on like literally every reservation. This sucks because I thought I was going to make all this money back, I didn't, because I had to refund all these guests. So that, and then on top of all these expenses, like I was making a good amount, like in terms of like the revenue, I was doing better than I projected because I had a hot tub. But the expenses, there were just so many things that were going wrong. And also I had so many turns. Like I had like 14 turns in like a month is kind of a lot for one property. And so when you have that many turns, you're constantly having to restock things, and things break, things like the utilities were more expensive. Like everything's just more expensive. It's honestly better if you could take away one thing from this video. One, underwrite your house is better. Two, think about the like expenses, like utilities and things like more turns is not always a good thing. If you can make the same amount of money with 5 turns versus 14 turns, go for 5 turns because it's a lot easier and it's a lot less wear and tear. And so, yeah, as a result, this house made like literally no money. And then also the moving fees to get all the stuff out of the house and put it into storage. Like it just, this was a complete flop on my end, honestly. And I lost about $20,000. So when I'm showing the full profit and loss for the year, I'm not necessarily factoring in the expenses from 2024. So I'm not factoring in the 20,000 or 16.5 that I used to furnish this house. So just keep that in mind when you see the full numbers here. Okay, so we have best case, medium case, terrible case. Then we have the apartments in Mesa. So again, I'll reference another video. I got 18 apartments and I bought them from somebody else. And girl, I don't know, it's going to be worth it. But I am in the process of moving these apartments, and you're going to understand why here in a little bit. So what you're seeing here is the profit by each unit by month. So bear with me if you're not good at numbers. What you can see here is the total profit. This is just for the operating expenses for this set of units. There's like other LLC related expenses like total profit, which we're going to get into, but this is just as it relates to these specific units. So if you want to see, this is the profit here. I'll just highlight this so it's easier for you guys to see. Yeah, so it's a little rough out here. If we were to not factor in January, because right now I'm going into my peak season, which is January through April, and I'm anticipating making a lot of money because the other guy made a lot of money. He made around like I think like almost 50 grand in profit in the first 3 months of the year. I think if I could even get remotely close to that, I would be happy. And we'll explain why I might not hit that in a little bit. So if we were to actually take out this 14 grand in profit and like just look at what happened in 2025, we can see here it is at a loss of 26.81. And this is, again, not even factoring in the setup costs and everything else that I incurred. So you're going to see that here shortly. But yeah, so far it has lost money. And this is for a variety of reasons. One, these apartments are not good at maintenance, and they're like they're not ghetto, but like they are not that nice. And so as a result, I have to sometimes give guests discounts or refunds or things just going wrong. Like I have to pay for deeper clean. Like it's just all these different things that are going wrong that would be better if I just had better apartments. So I'm in the process of getting all of these moved in 2026. I'm actually going to move 12 of the 18 probably sometime in April. And so I'm filming that process for you guys so you can see how I'm going to basically turn this whole business around. But yeah, it made, well, I guess it hasn't made money, a nice 26.81 loss, like negative. But that's like at the, how do I put this? The unit level. What I'm about to show you next, which I know is what you guys are all waiting for, is how much money did she actually make in 2026. Or 2025. I'm filming this in 2026, by the way, but this is how much money I made in 2025. All right, guys, let's talk about it. I know this is what you've been waiting to see. Okay. If you want to like just cheat and skip ahead, I've made negative $90,000, but let's talk about how we got to this point. So, as mentioned, this is only factoring in expenses that I had in 2025. So this is not factoring in furnishing any of those 3 places that I mentioned, but it is factoring in the 35,000 buyout, the setup fees and cleaning fee, like basically all the I think it was around 50 to 60. I can't remember the exact amount, 50,000 to get those units live and ready. And so that's why this is so bad, is because it's factoring in that 50,000. And even if you take that out, that's still like negative 40,000. Don't come for me. Okay. Don't come for me. Anyway, this is how things kind of shook out. So as you can see, kind of was losing money in the first part of the year. This is because most of my units, really the only ones that were kind of running as true STRs were both in Houston, and Houston's slow months are in January and February. And so I'm not surprised that I lost money those months. And then in March, I lost money pretty much because of the 2-bedroom house, because that one had all the heating issues. And then in April, I made a profit because of Masters Week, and then lost money in May, made money in June. Oh, something else I forgot to mention in March, and there's just the totality of the year as well. I spent around $10,000 on various coaching. I spent $3,000. I think that's what I spent in March. Yeah, because you can see the LLC expenses jump up. Basically, anytime these jump up, it's because I probably bought a course or some type of coaching, something along those lines. So I bought a program from Blake Rocha that I should not have bought. Love that for me. And then I also bought a design course in July that I should not have bought. And then in November, I bought Sean. Oh God, I can never say his last name. I can put his channel below, Airbnb Automated, here on YouTube. But his program has been worth it so far. And he was actually the guy that's like, you need to just move these apartments somewhere else. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, so I spent about 10-ish grand on coaching. So if you were to take that away, this would only be negative 80,000. Okay. So don't come for me. But that's why, March in particular was, a loss. It actually would have been closer to, probably like $4,000 profitable had I had not bought that program. And then, in May, June, we had some issues. And then, July pretty much broke even. August is when I got the, Arizona apartments. And so that's why this is so bad. It's really, I know you guys are, if you're watching this till this point, you're definitely concerned for me. Just know that I'm okay. All right. And then September, things started to look good because I had a flood of check-ins. So something else to note when you're tracking this is oftentimes you're tracking this based on check-in date. So my September looked so good because I had a bunch of guests checking in September that stayed in October. And so as a result, October, like going from 57 to 32 looks terrible, but it's because we're basing this on check-in date. I can go more into details on that in a separate video, but just for the sake of simplicity and showing y'all the numbers, that is why that is the way it is. And so, yeah, it's showing a loss of $22,000 here. But it's really like, in terms of when I actually get paid, because Airbnb pays you, like, how do I describe this? Like, if a guest books for like 3 months, they're going to pay you one time every 3 months. But the way that you like account for this is on the check-in date, which let's say is September 1st, but they stayed 3 months. You're going to see all that revenue in September, but in reality, you got paid throughout the year. So I actually more than likely, well, I know I did, not more than likely, got paid like more sprinkled throughout these months. And then, so that's October. I probably was actually maybe more like negative, like five to 7,000 or so. And then, November and December, November is because I bought the coaching, but even still, that would have been like -5. But really what's gone wrong, I would say, is not keeping better tabs on my expenses. Things add up, especially when there's like things going wrong. Like for example, these apartments have carpet in them and I have to get the carpet cleaned. Like things just go wrong. And for me, as you can tell, my goal in 2026 is keep a better tab on these expenses. I even built this whole new spreadsheet for this exact reason, to keep better track of my expenses. So yeah, my 2025, guys, my 2025, we made a whopping negative $104,000 in the Airbnb business. We made $303,000 in revenue. And then we had $407,000 in expenses. Yeah. Then to kind of like make this an easier pill to swallow, I include my interior design projects as part of my business revenue because I pretty much like use it to pay off debt. And so that's how we got to negative 90,000, because I made about $13,000 to $14,000 profit from various design projects. So, and that's me like taking this casually. Probably could make a lot more from the design if I took it seriously. And also just looking at these numbers, I'm like, dang, should I just do interior design because what is even happening over here? But anyway, so that's the numbers for 2025. And they don't look great. But let's do a little recap, actually. Let's just do a little recap of like kind of where my head is at and what's kind of going on next. But just know, like, I wanted you guys to see the reality of the situation. Yeah, let's just do a quick recap. So that's the reality here. Like I've made negative 95,000, but there's another creator online. She has 70 Airbnbs. I actually thought about getting her coaching program. She had 40% margins her first year. More than likely, she got rent concessions. Rent concessions are the key here, people. You need to get a few months free if you can, so that way you pay off all the debt right away and you don't have it just sitting there accumulating over time. So there's also a bunch of other mistakes that I've made along the way, clearly. You don't have to tell me, I know, okay? But at least I'm trying, and I hope that this inspires you to just try. And if you're wondering, like, is this girl okay? Is she gonna survive? Yes, I am a little bit, I'm a lot bit worried, but I have a freelance business that does actually pretty well. I just got tired of doing it, but I do that to pay myself, and I've actually paid myself $0. Clearly, I can't afford to be paying myself from the Airbnb business, so I do not. I don't pay myself from that business, and yeah, so if you want to get in the game, scared money don't make money. So you gotta be willing to put in some risk, but geez, do it a little bit better than me at least. You know, like this is like the worst case scenario. Okay, and I'm planning on taking on more units this year. I just hired a pricing team. Like I'm doing things, guys, to actively make it better and become a better business owner. So I will keep documenting the process. I'm going to document the new units that I pick up this year. I'm going to document transferring those Arizona apartments. I'm literally going to be documenting getting out of all this freaking debt and turning this into hopefully $1 million business in 2026. So if you want to see more raw footage that people aren't showing you online, if you want to see the real raw footage of growing a business, possibly watching it fail, possibly watching me go bankrupt, subscribe so I can at least get monetized, so that way I can try to pay off the debt. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one. I have some fun design projects that I'm going to be posting on here soon. And again, if you want to have me design your Airbnb or go install it for you, clearly don't pay me to manage it. I'm actually really good at managing them. I'm just terrible at managing the expenses. 2026, somebody help me get better at managing my expenses. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.